So how do we choose a project? This is a really, really difficult one for me to do without doing a workshop and having a load of people in the room and sitting down with people individually. I noticed since I've been doing this, I looked on Instagram yesterday and I noticed a couple of the magazines are now doing what projects to do this year and the other. They never used to do that. They've started doing that. But I want you to remember something. To put a magazine article together, what they have to do is find some photographers that are willing to write a little piece and use their photographs. So that may not work for you. I know I'm sort of going down the street photography route. For your first project, you don't have to do a project within street photography. But what you have to do is find a project to do that's relatively easy, something that you will start and something that you will finish. Do it within this period of time, like I said, the 1st of January to the end of the year. And pick something that you can learn from by the end of the year. And maybe not something too easy, but something that might help you. If you're a proficient photographer and you're used to using a camera and you can take a good photograph, start challenging yourself a little bit. Now, photography is all about painting by light. And if you're not sure at this stage, even though we're at the beginning of January, go to an art gallery and look at the way painters paint light into images. You'll be quite surprised that when you look at an image by a really, really great photographer, you'll find they've painted the light in just the right places. You can't do this all year round though. So at this time of year, when it's flat light and everything else, you can't produce images with the light you might want unless there's a nice little bit of sunshine after a bit of rain or something. You usually got flat light now, so you might have to wait a little bit, but I try and choose a project that I can shoot no matter what. And one of the things about my windows project is there's always light coming out of a window or shining on people's faces in a window. There's key lights, there's all sorts of different lights. You can get Rembrandt light in shop windows. You can get all sorts of different light. So that's one of the reasons I shot that type of project. It's because it helped me to learn something. And one of the things is someone said, how come your camera doesn't focus on the glass? Well, at the end of the day, if you set your camera up right, at say f4 and you're photographing near a window, you're going to get that all in focus. Now then, I cannot, for this YouTube video, give you a project to shoot. It's a waste of time. You have to choose your own. You have to give it a lot of thought, make some notes, go for a walk. One of the most important things is go for a walk. Go and walk around your city or town or village. And also that'll make you think as well, can you do that? Can you get out of your house and go and do that regularly? Now, if you can't get out of your house and go and do that regularly, or you're in work every day of the week, can you shoot that project? Some people walk through a city on their way to work. So you could shoot on the way to work and on the way back. That does restrict you to those 2 times of day's lighting, but maybe that's what will help you anyway. You could shoot stairs, you could shoot the same seat on a bench throughout the year. I don't like that type of project because at the end of the day, I'll give you an example. I was actually going to shoot a bench once and the bench got moved, it got taken away after a couple of months, which was quite funny, but that's just the way it was. So I wouldn't restrict yourself to that. I know someone that's actually shooting a bench project and has been shooting that bench project for 3 years now and it's not even finished. It's a long-term project. It should be really, really, really good when it's done. I'm not saying any more than that. But like I showed you yesterday with the books, Dave Vaughan shot couples. You can shoot yellow, blue, green or yellow, blue, red. You can shoot whatever you want, but shoot something that you can learn from. That's the most important thing. I'm going to come on to editing before you shoot on the next video. But I wanted to drop this one in first just to give you some ideas and come up with. Some people have already sent me messages saying, I'm going to shoot this year, I'm going to shoot that this year, and I'm going to fine, that's fine, send me messages, I don't care. I can't pick a project for you, it just can't be done. If you struggle to shoot street and a street project, then go and shoot trees. Go and shoot something. I wouldn't say go and shoot trees throughout the seasons. It gets really, really complicated because that's 4 photographs. It's a waste of time, do you know what I mean? So what you've got to remember is, in art, when you first start drawing, for instance, you draw shapes and you shade in for light, etc., etc., etc. You're starting somewhere. If you've never taken many photographs before and you're going to do a project, do something really, really simple. Just go out and shoot something. Maybe it's just people. Maybe you've never shot people before and you shoot them from miles away. We'll start off a long way away and then get closer and closer and closer over the course of the year and see what you learn from that. If you're a proficient photographer and you've shot loads, you're really used to using a camera and you're really good at something, but you think there's something missing, then shoot that more. I think what a lot of people don't understand is until you've shot something to death and overshot it, you don't learn anything. You really need to shoot something to death. I did windows, then I did windows and coffee shops, and then I did windows and reflections. Sounds mad, that's a lot of windows. But I learned so much in that period of time, of that year of shooting windows, it's unbelievable. Someone once said to me, why don't you use a polarizing filter to stop the reflections? It's because I wanted the reflections. I learned that I wanted the reflections, and it was catching my own reflection in some of my images that made it even more dynamic because the person didn't know I was there, but you can see I'm there. There's one particular image where there's a couple holding hands in a restaurant, and with them just there, when I took the photograph, that photograph of them just there meant something to me. But because my reflection is in the window, it made it look a little bit more sinister. And that whole story came together because people really wanted to know what was going on in this scene. What was happening? Had someone died? Was it really upsetting? Or had they just got together? Or was their relationship breaking up? The stories were endless, but you add my reflection into it, it added a whole new realm to the whole of the story. Like The Watcher. It's really weird. But what you're trying to do is learn from what you do this year. So if you come up with an idea, really think about that idea. The next video is going to be about just before you press the shutter speed and around that sort of time. So this video is just a little bit about you just making yourself think about shooting a project. If you're not sure, go on Instagram, Flickr, whatever you've got, and have a really good look at other people's work. And if there's someone you admire and you think, I'd like to be a little bit more like that, go and shoot that style, or try and shoot that style for a year. Emulate their work for a year. Doesn't mean to say you're going to plagiarize their work and copy their work. We all learn from something. In art, you learn from the greats and the masters. They tell you to study the greats and the masters. And what you do is emulate their work for a hell of a long time until you find your own style. So there's nothing wrong with that. There is if you go online and you say, look at me, I'm great, I've shot this, when it's someone else's work, it's just stupid. So have a really good long hard think about your project and what's going to work for you. Just remember one thing, it's January. If you're going to shoot it this whole year, you might change your mind in February and completely change tack. You might start shooting windows and find it doesn't work for you. And you might start shooting your own reflection in windows and but that doesn't work for you. And you might find getting too close to people makes you feel uncomfortable, which is part of the process. So you might shoot further away. And if you shoot really close to people and up close, try shooting further away. Change what you do for 12 months. It's an incredibly interesting process, which you learn so much from. Now, I haven't been that helpful today. I haven't given you a project, and I'm not going to give you a project. My projects come from my last project. So normally, but I've had a bit of a break, as you all know, but normally I've done a project and an idea will come to me within that 12 months of my project for next year, and I'll be excited about doing it. I'll almost want to stop this project to do the next one. So shoot this year's project and make it easy for yourself. I'll tell you some of the ones that aren't easy. Don't shoot numbers. If you think you're going to shoot a 1 on the 1st of January, on a 2 on the 2nd, don't even try it, because you'll find that you'll run out of ideas for numbers and then you start just shooting doors and then numbers on. It's just ridiculous. It doesn't work unless you want to prove me wrong. One of the best projects I've ever seen was a guy who did a self-portrait project of him sitting in a chair for a whole 365 days, and there was a different face in his project every day. Aston Jean-Pierre, his name is. Google him, Aston Jean-Pierre portrait project. It's probably still on Flickr. You can probably still Google it. He did all sorts of things, from putting his head in a load of hundreds and thousands to sellotaping his head up and putting an iron on his head. But every single photograph for 365 days was a different photograph of himself sitting in the same chair in the same place. It was inspirational. And what did he do after that one? He only went and did it again. Another 365 days of him photographing himself again. That was an absolute masterclass in shooting projects. He left the UK, he's gone abroad now. I can't remember where he's gone, whether it's New Zealand, Australia. I'm not 100% sure. He was a deaf photographer and he was absolutely brilliant photographer. So Think about it. You could do that. You could go and shoot your self-portrait for 365 days. Claire Armitage did a self-portrait project for 365 days. I'm going to come on to that at a later stage. She learned a hell of a lot about herself. There was actually a point, and she won't mind me saying this, there was actually a point where a friend of mine messaged me, was looking at her project and said, is she okay? And I said, apparently not. And you could see that in her images. Shooting this self-portrait project laid her bare in more senses of the word and actually taught her about herself, and it made her change her life a little bit. Maybe I'll try and talk to her at some stage and get her to tell you about it. She's actually on one of my workshops I did, and she talked about it then. So maybe in the future I'll make a video with Claire and we'll talk about it. I might need to have some more space and we'll both try and do a bit of a workshop with it. Anyway, I'm going to keep this short and sweet. Have a really, really good think about your project. It's still January. By the time we get to end of January, you can still shoot a project this year. It doesn't matter. It's going to change your life. It's going to change the way you shoot forever. If you're just trying to work out what to do and your mojo's gone and everything else, think of a project. It could be stairs, it could be benches, it could be anything. It could be anything you want it to be. Don't make it too difficult. Keep it simple and see what you learn about it from doing it over the whole of 12 months. And stick to it. You've got 12 months. It's only 12 months. Get out there and do something interesting this year. Catch you on the next video.